Greetings, students. Welcome to SLS 1501, Introduction to the College Experience. I'm your professor, Dr. Johnston, and it is a pleasure to have you all here. I'm excited to learn with you throughout this semester. So this video will serve as an introduction to the course. And what I really want to show you here is what we're going to go over in this video specifically, and this is kind of traditionally what will happen for every pre-recorded video throughout the semester. So first I'm going to do an overview of this course in general through the syllabus and the course outline. We will also look at Canvas and go through Canvas together. I'm going to move in then to MindTap, which is really your textbook and the online component to the textbook. I have to go through this in depth because this is a really tricky thing for some students, and I want to make sure that it's all very clear. I have a short little video I want to talk about with motivation, and then I will talk about next week, next class prep, what that looks like. So let's get into it. First, we're going to start with Canvas, syllabus, and the course outline. So here's what you see when you log into your Canvas, and this is home screen for SLS 1501. This is your home screen. You'll always be able to see my recent announcements. You'll see when it was posted, at what time. When I send an announcement out, I've sent out 2 already this week with emails along with it. So when I send out announcements, you're going to get an email notification saying an announcement has been posted. And then I also follow up with an email that's a copy of the announcement. So I really, really, really want to ask you to check Canvas every day, check your email every day. Okay, that's really important, not just because of emails from me, but emails from the rest of your professors and classes, and of course from the college. So please, please, please make sure you're checking the announcements, checking your Canvas, checking the emails. Okay, so the modules that we will use most in this course, that is this section right here. Just so you can see on the homepage on the right-hand side, you'll see a brief to-do list. So that's always there. That's a helpful tool for you to let you know what's coming up. The little megaphone means it's an announcement from me. These 2 little boxes with the bubble means that it is a discussion board post. And then this letter indicates that it's an assignment that you have to do. So these are just little indicators that you'll learn along the way, but just to give you kind of knowledge in advance of that's what they are if you've never used Canvas before. And if you haven't, take time to familiarize yourself with it. It is not too complicated. It should be user-friendly. 9 times out of 10, you won't use everything in the left-hand side in these sections. So just keep that in mind. For this class, you'll probably mostly use home, announcements, syllabus, modules, assignments, grades, and discussion. Those are kind of the top tier of what we use. So I'm going to click on the announcements section so you can see what it looks like. Here are my 2 announcements. And if you click on the announcement, it will open it up so you can read the detailed announcement. Then moving on to the syllabus tab, this is where we'll kind of dig into the introduction of the course as well as some of the topics that will be covered. So I'm just going to go ahead and open the syllabus. When you click on it, it will open a new tab in your browser. So again, this is SLS 1501, Section 101, Introduction to the College Experience. This class runs until technically the end of the semester, May 8th. It's, meeting times listed on here, but this is going to be a remote class. We will not have face-to-face Zoom meetings. However, I can meet with you one-on-one if you ever need to, okay? This is my name. You can call me Dr. Johnston, and we can meet by appointment. My faculty webpage is there, and of course my email. You can always send me a message in Canvas. Again, if you want to meet one-on-one, you want to talk through it, you need help with anything, just let me know. We will set up a time, and I am here to support you. So the syllabus gives you information on the required textbook, The Essential Guide to Becoming a Master Student by Dave Ellis. You must purchase this new. Do not purchase this used because you need an access code. So I'll go more into that in a second. But if you're going to buy a physical copy of the book, then you need to buy it new. If you've already purchased it and you purchased it used, please return it, okay? You can also rent digitally, and I'll go over that in a little bit. Again, you'll need to purchase the access code. So buying a brand new textbook comes with the access code. All right, so let's move into the course learning outcomes, and this is really important. So by the end of this course, you will have achieved the components of the course learning outcomes. First, to conduct career exploration and research. That is a very particular component in this class, so something we will cover. Develop and advance skills in financial literacy. We will go over that in depth. Develop and strengthen college level academic skills. I will challenge you to confront the way you learn and the tools you use in an academic setting. Develop cultural awareness and competence, engage and understand PBSE campus resources and college culture. Explore academic mindset and learning processes. Explore programs, majors outlined in the college's career pathways and develop an academic plan. And recognize the connection between one's health, wellness, and academic success. So this will be covered throughout the course of this semester. And I'll just move on. Essentially, you've got your assignments and tests with a point value. The grading scale is standard. Now, as far as attendance policy is concerned, your submission of your introduction discussion board, that any assignment on campus that will satisfy your attendance sort of requirements. So it's really important that you do the assignments for this class. Especially right now, because we have to do a report of students that attended, and your student introduction counts as that when I submit the report to Palm Beach State College. And if you don't, then I have to submit non-attendance, and then the college will do some sort of withdrawal on their end. So please make sure that you do that. Late assignment policy, it says, all assignments count towards the final grade. You should establish connections with other students to get, any missed assignments, so on and so forth. If something happens and you need to turn in an assignment late, I can be flexible. Just let me know. It's all about communication. It's going to be really critical, not only with me, but with your other professors as well. Makeup exam policy, there are 2 exams in this class. There is a midterm and there is a final. So if something happens and you don't have a chance to take the midterm or the final, you have to talk to me. We'll work something out one-on-one, but we'll get to that as we get further into the course. Academic dishonesty policy is something I take very seriously. I will go over plagiarism in depth in this course as well. Academic dishonesty includes as the following, as well as other similar conduct aimed at making false representation with respect to the student's academic performance, which is cheating on an exam, collaborating with others on work to be presented, if contrary to the stated rules of the course, submitting, if contrary to the rules of the course, work previously submitted in another course, knowingly and intentionally assisting other students in any of the above actions, including assistance in an arrangement whereby work, classroom performance, examination, and other activity is submitted or performed by a person other than that student under whose name the work is submitted or performed, and then plagiarism as well. Palm Beach State College has its own academic dishonesty policy and penalty in place for violations. And so plagiarism, cheating of any kind, Palm Beach State College will take action. So Palm Beach State College has its own consequences, penalties for violating the academic integrity policy. Other policy, this is a distance learning asynchronous course, which means that we will not meet face-to-face, but we will have discussion board postings that you can use to interact with one another, and I'll be reading them and offering you a lot of feedback. So although this is, a remote course, you will get a lot of information from me through videos and through my comments and feedback on your assignments. So please make sure that when you do get a grade that you read that, because I'll always try to write something to you as well. The withdrawal policy is a student will be withdrawn by the professor for excessive absences after missing 4 consecutive classes. As far as this course is concerned, we are remote, so that doesn't quite apply. Student code of conduct, unauthorized use of voice and video recording, using any device to make an audio or video recording of any person without their prior knowledge or express consent is prohibited. So please make sure you are aware of that, especially if you go to in-person or Zoom classes, whether your faculty allow you to record or not. The videos that I make are to be viewed specifically by the students of this course. That's the expectation and nobody else. Okay, so there is more information here. I will let you take a look on your own about the college policies for violating academic integrity, for plagiarism and cheating, fabricating, so on and so forth. I don't think that will be a problem here, but it's here just in case you want to take a look. And that is the syllabus. So it really encapsulates a lot of, college-wide policies. Dr. Davis is the department contact. So he is the department chair for this course. So that's always included at the bottom of the syllabus. So that's the formal syllabus for this course. Now I'm going to move into the course outline. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the course outline, and that's when it gets really specifically catered to our class. So I'd like to explain each column of the outline to make sure that it's very clear for you. In the left-hand column, you'll see the day and date. Everything will be due on Saturday because that's when our class would have, technically met if we were meeting. So every topic that we cover will be released that day. And then you'll see that in the middle column. And then the assignments due for that specific Saturday will be in the most right-hand column. So if you look at the first row, you've got Saturday, February 4th. We're going over the course introduction, syllabus, Canvas, MindTap. Right now we are in the outline. The assignments that are going to be due today are the course introductions discussion, course introduction discussion responses. So if we have a discussion board post, you are expected to also respond to a few classmates. Now, as this is a brief beginning of the semester, I want you to post your response today and then post the responses to your 2 classmates by tomorrow, Sunday night, February 5th. Now, if you get your introduction posts done very early, you have plenty of students, and I've already graded a couple who have introduced themselves already. So I know that there are some there that you can go ahead and introduce yourself to some classmates through that discussion board. Please have that done by Sunday night. I'll be trying to grade on Monday. Okay. And respond, of course. I love to give feedback. So next week, what's going to happen on the 11th is that I'm going to release a video going over the introduction to becoming a master's student, a lecture on chapter 1, and I'm going to do part of chapter 2, which is a goal setting. And what's going to be due that day is getting started in MindTap quiz, which I'm going to go over in a second, and a pre-assessment that you'll take in MindTap, which I will also be going over in a second. So what I'd like to do is when I cover a topic, I make the assignment due the next week. So for example, on the 11th, next Saturday, I'm going to be talking all about goal setting. And I'm going to have you do your own form of goal setting discussion, and that's not going to be due until the following week. Now, because it is a discussion post, I ask that you post your discussion by the 16th so that you have time to respond to 2 classmates by the 18th. Okay, so that's the way it kind of works. And I will also send out several announcements reminding students. I like to do that so that you don't get caught off guard. So you'll have a lot of communication with me. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave you stranded. And of course, you can always reach out as well. Okay, so that is the course outline. Oh, you know what? I wanted to go over some of the projects that you'll do in this class. So the one I want to talk about first is the vision board. It's going to be introduced on the 18th, but that is a great segue from a goal setting workshop because you're going to do an educational and career vision board, and I'll show you that in the assignment section in a minute. We will have a midterm in this course. The midterm will be March 18th. It will cover the introduction chapter through chapter 5. That will be through MindTap. You'll have plenty of instructions as that comes later on in the term. And then I will do a great library workshop for you so you can learn more about Palm Beach State's library online. I'm also going to do a plagiarism workshop for you. And then the final exam will also be in MindTap on chapters 6 through 10. So I break it up. Okay. And that's our course outline. Of course, like I said, I'm always going to introduce it in every pre-recorded video so that it's all very clear and you'll have a lot of announcements from me. Now, the really cool thing about this syllabus section is that it also serves as a course summary to tell you what's due. So for example, you can see on Saturday, February 11th, the CSFI pre-assessment and the Getting Started in MindTap. You can see Sunday, February 5th is student introductions. Now, I like to do that because I ask that you post your introduction by Saturday and your responses by Sunday. So since I'm giving you till Sunday, I make it due on Sunday, even though I do ask that you post your response on Saturday. That way, if I put that it's due on Saturday, but that you have till Sunday, it's confusing for students. I found that this way is more clear for students than the opposite. So this serves as a nice calendar for you, which I think will be really helpful throughout the semester. Now I'm going to move into the modules section. This is where you're going to reach everything. This is where I'm going to post my lectures. This is where you're going to find everything you need to find. So first I want to talk about the first module, which is getting to know PBSC. I'm going to go through all of these with you. Then we'll move on to getting started in MindTap. And then we'll go on from there. So let me start with getting to know PBSC. So some of you may have already started classes back in August. And so, you know, you've kind of probably feel like you have an idea. Some of you, this may be your first semester. Some of you, this might be your second semester. Some of you, which I think in one introduction I read, someone is like close to being finished. So everybody, you know, this, even though it's made for students entering Palm Beach State for the first time, students are still taking this class at different points in their academic career. But it never hurts to refresh how you are, how you challenge yourself as a student, the strategies that you learn as a student. Never hurts to refresh those. So I want to really introduce you to Palm Beach State College because that's a huge component of this course, is just making sure that you understand what Palm Beach State has for you. So there is, it's optional, a Canvas for Students Introduction to Canvas course. If you feel a little uncomfortable with Canvas and you want some, you know, it's no cost, but it'll just give you a guided tutorial of what Canvas is, please feel free to take advantage of this. I think it's a great idea. It's, again, not required, totally optional. Some students might be already familiar with Canvas and some are not. So if you don't feel super comfortable right now, I promise it will come in time. But if you want to get a head jump, then go ahead and enroll in that. So the technology requirements for this class is that you can access a computer. Luckily, we do have the ability for you to rent a laptop from Palm Beach State College, if that is ever anything you need. Palm Beach State also gives you Microsoft Office Suite as a student for free. You can also install Adobe Acrobat Reader for free. There's also information about IT help desk, but the Student Learning Center, the SLC, can be your best friend. The computer lab on campus is set up with several computers that you can go to and use. Again, as I said earlier, if you don't have a computer, you could always rent one from the library. Those are first come, first served, so the earlier you get to those, the better. Okay, so this is interesting. It's how to access your course calendar. So a lot of students will use this feature. If you go to your own calendar, you'll be able to see through this photo exactly what is due in a calendar view. Now, for some of you, that's very, very user-friendly, and that's how you like to see it mapped out. So for some of you, this is exactly what you need. This is the opposite of what I need. So that's why I'm really glad that the syllabus option has it broken down, because that's a better view for me. So whatever method you prefer to see what's due, you have these different options. So what's good about the course calendar is that it's going to give you all of your classes. So you do your own academic planning, and we will talk about time management in this course, but you have several options there. So it shows you how to access your grades. So I'm not going to click on that because I'm in student view. So as the faculty member, it's basically showing me what you see. If I click on grades, it's going to not show me anything because I'm not a student. I don't have any grades, and I'm not going to show student grades. So this is why these screenshots are helpful. So here you go, grades here. It tells you exactly what your score is. In this class, everything will be by points. It's a total point structure. So it's not like that in every class, but for this one, it's strictly points. Okay. And I don't have any rubrics. Okay, so this also gives you some online student success tips, which I think are really, really helpful. So I'm just going to briefly go through them. Create a quiet, distraction-free study spot. Studying places where you can read and just have time for you to concentrate on your work. It's going to be something that I talk about a lot in this class. It says another tip, keep a notebook for each class. You have your own method of getting organized, whether it's a notebook, whether it's a binder, whatever it may be. Know your learning style. I would like to call them preferences, and we will go over that in chapter 1. Tutoring, I'm going to talk about tutoring a lot in this class. Access to tutoring, it is included in your tuition. Please, please, please take advantage of it. You can do it on campus. You can also do it through the Student Learning Center online, which I will cover a little bit later in this course. I will also go over the college library available online in this course later on as well, but links are there for you. Use a PC or Mac for online classes. Mobile devices are not supported. I had students try that in the past with Zoom classes, and it was never really successful. Have a backup plan in case something goes wrong. Of course, communication with your professors is always tip number 1. And save and save often. That's what was drilled into me when I was in graduate school. Save your work and save it often. Okay. And then of course, the learning resources like the ELO 1000, which is that Canvas introduction course I talked about in the beginning. And moving on. This is very interesting. I do think it's something that needs to be talked about in some cases. So netiquette tips, how to avoid disruptive behavior in a virtual learning environment. You don't really have that here, but you might have future Zoom classes. So something you should think about when you're engaging in class discussion through chat or in person. All of your student support services are here. Academic advising. These links here, these boxes with the arrow, it takes you directly to the website. So you've got academic advising here, financial aid, registrar, Veterans Affairs, Student Counseling Center. I'll talk about that later in the semester as well. Career services, talk about that later in the semester. Student organizations to make the most out of your experience at Palm Beach State. And the Center for Student Accessibility. If you need any accommodations at all, Center for Student Accessibility is who's going to communicate with me. So if you're ever like, oh man, I need to get a hold of my advisor, I don't remember the link, I don't feel like digging around Google. If you're in Canvas, you can just go to that module, Getting to Know PBSC, and the link is right here. So another route for you. Okay, link to get to the bookstore, very helpful. Link to get to the Career Center, also very helpful. The Counseling Center contact information, where you can find them on campus as well. And then, of course, after hours, if you need help, 211 will get you to a trained professional in your area. You can also get to the Counseling Center website as well. Financial aid. We will cover financial aid in chapter 2. In the second half of chapter 2, I will talk extensively about financial aid. I teach this course, but I did work in enrollment management for 7 years. So I'm very familiar with the financial aspect of going to college, the financial aid process as well. So I'm going to go over that in depth, not only knowing exactly what it means to get financial aid and all of that, but also the background to it, providing more context, especially from a professional standpoint. So Palm Beach State has a cybersecurity lab. It's open to all students and it allows them to engage in real-world simulations to strengthen your cyber defense skills. Very cool. The vision for the cybersecurity lab is to enhance and support the training and education of PBSC cybersecurity students in both on-site and online environments by enhancing the academic curriculum through hands-on exercises, demonstrations, special projects, and competitions. It's a really cool opportunity. The lab will play a vital role in producing workplace-ready graduates. So you can go to this link right here or click on this PDF for the Cyber Security Lab Acceptance Use Policy. And that is the end of the welcome module. So we just went through, when I click back on modules, we just went through this entire module together. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to register and getting started in MindTap. Now, MindTap is the online component to your textbook. There are 2 ways to get your textbook. You can buy it physically from the bookstore, buying it new, not used, from the bookstore or another site that sells the book brand new. And it's going to come with a little card, a little postcard about that big, and it's going to have an access code on it. Do not throw that postcard away. Don't throw it away. Don't throw it away, because you need that access code to connect to this class. This is the trickiest thing you'll do this whole semester, but it always trips a lot of students up. So if you want to have a physical copy of a book, which I totally understand, it's going to come with that card and you cannot discard it because you won't be able to connect to MindTap. And as a result, if that happens, I can't get you a new one. I physically can't. I've tried. You'd have to purchase it again. So again, if you buy a physical copy of your book, do not throw away that access code. So basically, if you've never taken a class that had an online component, that's exactly what this is. You've got the paperback hard copy version, or you can rent it through Cengage online. You have options. So the first thing I'm going to do is the Read Me First How to Register for MindTap on Canvas. Okay. So Cengage is the company, the overall company. MindTap is the kind of Cengage is the umbrella. MindTap is kind of the company that we work with through becoming a master's student. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get access by going on to your learning management system, which for Palm Beach State is Canvas. So you will log into Canvas, and then you will click the second one, which I'll go through, and it'll automatically open up a second browser and ask you to go to an outside link, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Once you do, you're going to create an account or log in if you already have an existing account. Some of you might be using Cengage for another class. So you're using MindTap in another capacity, and this adds on. Some of you have never used it before, and then you would create your own account. Please use your Palm Beach State email. If you have already done it and you used a different one, it's okay. I just recommend you always use your Palm Beach State email for anything college related. Okay? Then you're going to enroll in the course, it's going to recognize because it's connecting straight to Canvas. And it's going to ask you how you want to use Cengage. It's right here. You're going to get a free trial. It's like 2 weeks for everybody, I think. And then after that free trial, it's going to say single term use, I think. And you'll have to pay for it after that 2-week trial is up, but you want to rent it. Do not buy Cengage Unlimited unless you have like more than one class that's using it. Otherwise, just do single term use. Now, if you get to this point, okay, let's move to the next step, and I'll show you. And we're going, so that was step 1, read me first. Now we're going to watch a video.
Looking to access the materials you need for class? You're in the right place. In this video, we'll walk you through the process so you can find what you need and get to work. If you have any questions at the end, don't worry. We'll tell you how to connect with our support team for personal assistance. Now let's get started. Start by going to your campus learning management system where you access courses. It might be Blackboard, Canvas, Brightspace, Moodle, or something else. Quickly make sure your browser allows pop-ups, or you won't be able to access your class materials. Once you've logged in and selected your class, you'll see it includes a combination of links provided by your instructor and Cengage. To continue the registration process, click any link that references Cengage content.
Okay, now that we've completed step 1, read me first, how to register on for MindTap on Canvas. You're going to watch this video. It shows basically a video registration guide. Go ahead and share my sound.
Looking to access the materials you need for class? You're in the right place. In this video, we'll walk you through the process so you can find what you need and get to work. If you have any questions at the end, don't worry. We'll tell you how to connect with our support team for personal assistance. Now let's get started. Start by going to your campus learning management system where you access courses. It might be Blackboard, Canvas, Brightspace, Moodle, or something else. Quickly make sure your browser allows pop-ups, or you won't be able to access your class materials. Once you've logged in and selected your class, you'll see it includes a combination of links provided by your instructor and Cengage. To continue the registration process, click any link that references Cengage content. Not sure where to click? Ask your instructor or try a few links. You'll know you've clicked the right one when you reach the Cengage login screen. If you've used MindTap, WebAssign, SAM, CNow V2, OWL V2, Cengage Infuse, or another Cengage platform or e-textbook before, you may already have a Cengage account. Go ahead and log in, or select Need Help Signing In to recover your login info if you don't remember. If it's your first time using a Cengage online learning platform or e-textbook, create an account. We recommend using your school email address here. For your security, we ask you to verify your email address. You'll receive a Welcome to Cengage email with the link to activate your account, create a password, and complete registration. Now you're in. You should see your assigned materials, including your e-textbook and assignments. If you've purchased an access code, click on Enter your access code to redeem it. If you don't have an access code, just select Continue. Here you can review the most affordable option for instant access to your materials. If you've already redeemed a code, click Continue and dive right in. If not, you can select Buy Product under the first column, or choose Temporary Access to make your purchase later. Before you buy, make sure to check out Cengage Unlimited. One Cengage Unlimited subscription includes access to all Cengage e-textbooks and online learning platforms, plus at least 4 free hard copy rentals. Just pay shipping and handling. So if you've been assigned MindTap, WebAssign, Cengage and Fuse, SAM, CNow, or OWL v2, they're all included in one Cengage Unlimited.
Okay, so I don't want to go too far into Cengage Unlimited because it's really not something you need to do. It's not going to cost $125 to get a single term use for this class. It should be much, much less than that. But what they went over in this video and what can be a useful resource for you to use again is step 2 when you go to create your account. It's like registering for any other product you've ever had to register online. You just have to get to it through Canvas. So one thing, the next step, step 3, will lead you into step 4, which is kind of the assignment that's due next week in MindTap, which is a little quiz to getting started in MindTap. So anytime you see a link, you see these two, this like link in a chain here that I'm kind of circling with my cursor, this is going to take you to an external link. When you click on it, this window pops up and it says this tool needs to be loaded in a new browser window. And this is clickable, so you just click on it. It will open a browser and bring you to Cengage. It's going to bring you to a sign-in page. Then you're going to create your account here and you move on from there. I won't do that because I'm a faculty member, so I'm going to leave student view and then I can show you what it looks like when you're in. Okay. All right, so you see here, it loaded right to the Getting Started in MindTap video. So once you're logged in, once you've created your account, anytime you click on it, it's going to take you right to whatever it is you want to view, whatever it is that you want to read. You'll watch this video, and then after that, let's say you finished watching it, great video, you're going to go over to, and a lot of people have already done the quiz so far, which is great. You're going to go over to this calendar here is really helpful tool. You'll see week 2, there are 2 activities due and getting started in MindTap quiz. So that is MindTap for you. Let me go back and when you're, oh, one more thing I want to talk about in MindTap. If you just rent the single term online digital copy, you'll have this for the duration of the spring 2023 semester. And this is the textbook. So some students prefer a hard copy book that they can take notes in. And I'm a hard copy person myself. But if that's not what you want, you can literally get the textbook online. Also, the links are clickable. To show you really quickly once we get past all of this. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Actually, if you go to the table of contents here, you can go chapter 1, you can click on anything within chapter 1 and it takes you directly to the page. You could also put in the page number here, so you have full access to the book. Alrighty, that's another thing I wanted to show you about MindTap. So that's register and getting started in MindTap. Again, some of you have already done it, so I see, okay, great. You've already activated your account, at least your trial, which is great. MindTap is a requirement. It's a requirement for this course. So I have to, we have to incorporate that component for this class. If you have any technical support issues, hopefully you don't, but if you do, technical support is here and they're very good. Another thing, let me go back to student view. Another thing that you're going to do for this course is the CSFI pre-assessment. It's very, very simple. It's a couple questions. It's not a test. That's why it says test, but it's supposed to say assessment. And it's just questions about you. There are no right or wrong answers. It's questions about you. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you is when we get into the textbook, these links that take you to Okay, sorry. I'll always have these posted, which is a 1 minute with the author of the textbook, Dave Ellis. He does 1 minute videos. So they're literally just 60-second videos about each chapter of the textbook. And then this links you to the textbook chapter. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like. Again, if you've already activated your account, when you click this, the next browser requirement window pops up. You click on that. And it takes you to the video. Again, it's 1 minute, 60 seconds with Dave Ellis. So really helpful tool, brings context to the chapters. These chapters are really reader friendly in this book. And a lot of this class is going to be not only learning the content, but how this content applies to you. That's really what's going to be the most important. The important aspect of this class is how you make this content and these strategies apply to you as a student and personally as well. So there's a module for each chapter. So next week, we're going to cover the introduction chapter, the chapter 1, using your learning styles, and we'll cover half of taking charge of your chapter 2, which is taking charge of your time and money. I'm going to go over a goal setting workshop. Then chapter 3, chapter 4, the educational and career vision board. That's one of the bigger assignments we'll do for this class. So I just briefly want to show you that. Now, what you're going to create is like a PowerPoint of your educational and career vision. So this is all tailored to you. And it will be, I think, much more fruitful because you will have already done a goal setting workshop when you do this. But it's all about what you want. So I pose these questions here for you to think about as you're creating your vision board. And so I have the instructions for you. And I also have them in something you can download. And I'll go over them again. But I wanted to talk about that just briefly because it's a very large chunk of points. So that shows that it's, you know, a larger assignment, but I wanted to give you just a little bit more context. This was like a little vision board I created. So it was just an example for you. But you're going to do something similar to this, although please be more creative than I was. I've seen other students do vision boards that were just like, you know, artistically stunning. So it's something I want you to keep after this class is done. And so it's a really great assignment. And again, chapter 8, chapter 9, chapter 10. So whenever we get to that chapter next week, when I release the videos for introduction, it's going to say, you know, recorded lecture introduction, recorded lecture chapter 1. So you're going to be able to find that there. You'll be able to watch it in Canvas that I release. Okay, so those are the modules. I went over MindTap. Our PowerPoint, we're moving on to kind of a motivation exercise that I wanted to talk about. And I want to show this video, and it's not too terribly long, but the video is, there we go, a great introduction to thinking about your own motivation. And we're still fairly early in the semester, but things I want you to think about, especially as you reach the middle of the semester, and then of course, as we come towards that finish line. So I'm just going to show this video.
School year brings with it the same age-old problem, the constant war of attrition that is fought against your motivation as the semester wears on. See, in the beginning of the semester, you know your motivation levels are usually high. You've got brand new classes that you're excited to take, and there's usually not a whole lot on your plate to stress you out. But in the middle of the semester, it's a very different picture. You've got tons of assignments, deadlines, projects, all stressing you out, and as a result, your motivational reserves can take a dip. You just don't want to go on. And I know I dealt with this problem during every single semester of my college career, and it's probably something that you've dealt with as well. So what I want to do with today's video is give you 5 different strategies that you can use to maintain a high level of motivation to do your work, to study diligently, all throughout the entire semester. Now, everything we're going to be talking about today is either a habit that you can adopt or an action that you can take in a specific moment. We're not going to be talking about any motivational mantras or mindset hacks here. Everything on this list is something that you can actually do, but it's still going to have a tangible effect on your motivation. So let's get into it with the first habit on the list. From the moment you walk into your very first class this semester, make the commitment to sit up front and ring class for all it's worth. Treat class like the active learning time that it should be. This means, again, sitting up front, taking notes the entire time, raising your hand, asking questions, and participating in discussions. If you can do this right from the start, then you're going to gain an implicit psychological pressure to keep doing it throughout the entirety of the rest of the semester. And this is because humans have a core drive to act consistently. We want to act in accordance and in line with our previous decisions. And this is something that Robert Cialdini talks about in his excellent book, Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion. As he puts it, once we have made a choice or taken a stand, we will encounter personal and interpersonal pressures to behave consistently with that commitment. Those pressures will cause us to respond in ways that justify our earlier decision. And this desire to act consistently was definitely something that I experienced in my own college classes. In the ones where I immediately sat up front, took notes, participated in discussions, I felt pressure to act in accordance with those decisions the entire semester afterwards. And on the other hand, for the classes where I just maybe didn't care a whole lot, sat in the back, sold computers on Craigslist, and didn't pay attention, that colored my experience throughout the entire semester as well. So think of your first week of classes as your opportunity to establish either positive momentum or negative momentum because of this consistency principle. So that brings us to habit number 2, which is to make sure you establish regular contact with your teachers and your professors. And this is actually quite related to the first tip, especially that quote from Robert Cialdini that I just mentioned, because if you'll remember, he mentions both personal and interpersonal pressures for remaining consistent. And I found that when you know your professors, you actually feel a little bit beholden to them, because when you're in class, you know that since they know you as well, they are paying attention to how you are behaving. They'll notice whether or not you take notes diligently. They'll notice if you actually participate in class discussions. And again, you're going to want to act consistently with both your own expectations of yourself and what you've done in the past, but also with their expectations that they develop through observing you in the beginning of the semester when you're already highly motivated. Tip number 3 is to have a plan when it comes to your homework and your study time. So if you think about your class time, that is highly regimented. You have a specific place you're supposed to be, and the class is happening at a specific time. And as a result, you almost always show up on time. There's really no decision you have to make. You just kind of do it because you know that's part of your schedule. So why not apply that logic to your homework and study time? Instead of just saying, I'm gonna study, wherever I want to, maybe in my dorm, maybe in the library, I don't know, and I'll do it whenever I have time. Instead, maybe at the beginning of every single week, look ahead at your calendar, see what kind of blocks of free time you have, and block out planned spaces of study time. And additionally, know where you're going to study. Maybe have a specific spot in the library that you usually go to, or create a specific study space in your dorm room and plan to study there. Again, when you have a plan ahead of time, then you reduce the amount of decisions you have to make in the moment, which decreases the likelihood that you're going to take the path of least resistance, which is probably playing video games and putting off your studying until later. Okay, so before we move on to tip number 4, I do want to share one little bonus mini tip with you, which is to find yourself some good study music. And this is a tip that comes from personal experience, because I've learned over the years that I just enjoy researching, doing my work, studying, reading. I enjoy it more if I have good study music to go along with it. And for that reason, I have been curating a study playlist over on Spotify for quite a few years now. It's just about 10 hours long, and I'll put a link to it down in the description below if you want to check it out. Now, obviously, music does not work for everyone, so you might want to experiment. Some people like white noise, and you can use white noise generators like Noisely to create a custom soundscape for your studying, but some people really do get a motivational boost through music. So at least do some experimentation. And that brings us to tip number 4, which is to know when to quit. And I don't go through this dip of difficulty with anything that's worth doing. But if you're realizing that your attention is fragmented, or you've taken on too many commitments, or the thing that you're doing, or one of the things that you're doing just isn't really worth it anymore, then it could be a good strategic decision to quit that in order to raise your motivation to tackle the other things on your plate. And that brings us to the final item on this list, which is to make real fun a priority this semester. And I have to say this because I know a lot of people, myself included, who will often feel feel too guilty to let themselves do the things that are truly fun because they feel like they need that time for work. I know a lot of people who will not go to movies with friends. They will not play that video game they wanted to play because they think they need every single spare minute to get their homework done or to do more studying. But these same people, and I'm going to include myself here because I catch myself doing this, these same people will not work efficiently during their work hours. They will take random breaks to go to Twitter or Facebook. And the thing is, like, going to Twitter or Facebook, that's not actually that fun. That's just a distraction. It just fragments your attention, probably harms your mental health because of what's on Twitter and Facebook, and it certainly isn't mentally refreshing in any way. But the other thing is, when you allow yourself to do the things that you feel are truly fun, whether it's going out with friends or playing Magic the Gathering in my case, that will hone your focus and hone your attention during your actual work hours. Because when you know you have a limited amount of time to get your work done, because there's an actual plan later on, you will use that time effectively. And once you actually go and experience that fun thing, you're going to get a mental reset in the process. Part of the reason why a lot of students lose motivation throughout the semester is that they work themselves to the point of exhaustion and burnout. You need that cycle of actual rest, which isn't just sleep, but it's, respite from your work and actual fun time and work. You need that actual interplay between those two states of being. So all that being said, make time for real fun this semester, and you're going to find that your motivational reserves maintain themselves throughout the entirety of that semester. And of course, when your motivation is high, you work more efficiently and you have more time, both for the fun things, but also for pursuing some things that can help you get ahead. And one of those things that I would suggest doing this semester, if you haven't started the process already, is building your online presence.
All right. Then it kind of goes into an ad. But I like the video a lot. I want to kind of break down a little bit what he said. So today we've gone over the syllabus and the outline, and I've introduced you to MindTap, the textbook. So this is all very exciting. It's a new class for some of you who may have started in August. You have your own setup going. Some of you, this might be your very first class. You didn't have anything start. Maybe you're just taking this 12-week class. So you're getting yourself set up now. You're getting ready. I'd like to show motivation at the beginning of the class. This video specifically because he's intentional when he says that it's not, mantras, and that it's practical application. That's what I think is at the heart of most of what I cover in this class, is how can we practically apply what you learn in this class to help you save your time, become a more efficient student, and be able to then use your time for other things. So, for example, we're going to talk about note-taking. We're going to talk about reading and how you read. Not to say that we don't think you know how to read, but that it's really important to understand how to read efficiently, specifically larger textbooks, things like that. So I like to show this motivation video, one, because I love that they talk about practical application. But two, just going through them, we'll go one at a time. I just think it's a really helpful thing to think about at the beginning. And then as you establish these practices, hopefully it will make, when you get to the end of the semester, when sometimes it's a little bit more stressful, make it a little bit easier for yourself. So the first thing he talks about is ringing the class for all it's worth, getting everything you can out of it. Now you can't, might not be able to sit in the front row for every single class, but you get what he's trying to say here. What he's saying is, like, pay attention, be present, like, not be mentally and physically present when you go to class, right? Don't just be a passive student, be an active student in your own learning. And with that, building your relationships with your faculty and professors at the same time. You might need your professors one day. Like, for example, letters of recommendation for scholarships or anything like that, relationship building is how you're going to get that. So it's going to be really, really important that you establish connection with your professors, especially because if something happens, and we know you, we've built that connection with you. Sometimes we might already know. I've had that happen in the past. Like, you didn't come to class and you're normally always there. Is everything okay? That sort of a thing. On the other hand, if something ever happens and you need help or anything like that, having that connection with the faculty member might make it a little bit easier for you to be able to feel confident asking for that help too. So really important to establish connections with your faculty, and that brings you into obviously number 2, which is keep in regular contact with your teachers and professors. In number 3, having a plan for when and where you're going to study is something that we're going to talk about a lot in this course, of just like understanding the best place for you to be able to be mentally and physically present in your work, whether that's studying for an exam, group studying, or just doing homework. But having a plan for when you're going to do it, and a solid plan, not just a, hey, if maybe this doesn't work out, then maybe I can do it that day. A solid plan of this is free time and this is time I will dedicate. And then where is that going to be? Well, I like to study at home, but I fall asleep if I do it in my bed. Okay, maybe you should go to the library instead. Maybe get out of that bed because it's too comfortable, it's too cozy, you'll fall asleep. Stand up, where are you going to study? Do you need to leave house because maybe you'll watch TV? Okay, establishing these things early. His 4th example, I didn't like his story, so I kind of skipped through it, but he talks about knowing when to quit. And that just means knowing when to quit something that's clogging up too much of your time, that's not giving you anything in return. Being a part of maybe an organization where it's not a fulfilling organization and you find that you're sacrificing time for school and time for relationships you have with other people, friends, family, significant others, and so on, because of something maybe you don't enjoy doing. So you did get to hear it at the very end. He said, it's going to be difficult. College is going to be difficult, but he says, difficulty with anything, it means it's worth doing. And that's very true. The old saying, if it was easy, everyone could do it, right? This is going to be tough. So if you have something that's weighing you down, that you don't think is fulfilling, then know when to say, I want to focus on this, and whatever that is for you. So really, I don't want to say knowing when to quit, knowing when to prioritize should be the better example. So I keep it in there, but I want to make sure that it's not, quit college, but knowing when to prioritize. I need to focus my time on Palm Beach State and this thing that's been clogging up my time. It's not giving me anything. I don't like it anymore. I'm just gonna move off from that because I have this new thing and I need to focus on that. Going to college is an investment. You are investing in yourself. Going to college and pursuing higher education is the most personal thing you can do because it's about you, right? And so either you are paying for you to be here, or the federal government's paying for you, or family is paying for you, scholarships are paying for you. Either way, there's been a financial investment for you to be here. So you want to put the time and energy that you can into your courses to make sure you get the best out of that investment, right? And then make time for real fun. That is so important. A lot of students think I'm gonna throw myself headfirst into school and everything will be school, 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 and they don't realize that by the end of the term they might be running on fumes. Like, I've got nothing left in my tank. I am exhausted. Make sure, and with proper time management, this is possible, that you can schedule in time for you to take care of you. I'm going to talk about mental health and self-care in college a lot throughout this course. But I have been in higher education for 10 years, and it's something that needs to be discussed. There's a lot of pressure that students put on themselves, or perhaps there's external influences that make students feel more pressure. Whatever it is, pressure exists, and especially for students who strive for perfectionism, it can be even more difficult. And it's not necessarily the healthiest. So when you can say, I'm going to dedicate this amount of days, this amount of time, so that I can have these days off to hang out with my friends or other people in my life, or go to this community organization that I like to go to, or volunteer, go to movies, whatever it is, make sure that you are giving yourself enough space to do that, because when you neglect those things, that's when you can go through burnout. You can say, I don't want to do this anymore. You're tired. There's a lot of work, so on and so forth. Outside of school, you already have so many other things. You're not just a student. You are a caretaker, perhaps, a parent. You could be a sibling. You care for younger siblings, right? You could have a job. You could have 2 jobs. You could have 3 jobs. You could have 5 jobs. I've had students that have had several jobs. You wear a lot of hats already, and then you put being a student on your plate as well. And so now you have to learn how to divide your time that might be split so many ways, even more. So time management is going to be really critical, but making time for real fun, making time to take care of yourself, to fill that tank back up is what is most important. Okay. So I just posed the question to you to think about what strategies you will use to stay motivated. So think about that. Reflect on this. What can you do to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success early? Okay. So I just think that's kind of a fun video. And now I want to talk about what next week looks like. So read Becoming a Master Student Introduction, Chapter 1, and familiarize yourself with Canvas. I went over that today in this video. Activate your MindTap. Review the syllabus, the course outlines, and the assignments. And then I always like to put what's due. That means what's due today. And then to do to give you a little heads up. Hey, this is what's coming up next week. So what's due today is the student introduction discussion, your post by today and the responses by tomorrow. So I want to show you that assignment really quickly. Okay. So if you go to assignments, you can also get through the discussions, but assignments, you see your upcoming assignments here. Student introductions, that's the first one. And as I said, the 2 boxes, it shows it's a discussion post. You're going to click on that. So take a few minutes to introduce yourself to the class. Tell us what brings you to PBSC, why you chose the major you did, and any other information you feel comfortable sharing, such as family, hobbies, or interests. So I will go through mine. My name is Dr. Johnston. I am your instructor for SLS 1501. I am a proud alumna of Palm Beach State College. I went there and got my AA degree, and then I transferred after earning my AA degree to Florida Atlantic University, where I earned my bachelor's, my master's, and my PhD, which was in 2021. I'm a 3-time graduate. I'm a 3-time OWL. My doctoral specialty was higher education leadership, and my research focus was centering and elevating Native American students' voices, enrollment, voices, student experiences in college as it relates to enrollment and retention. My love for higher education access and the state and community college system brought me back to Palm Beach State to teach this course, and I love teaching this course. My favorite hobbies, because I wanted to add them, include spending time with my husband and my 2 dogs, Poe and Penny. And I love reading, doing puzzles, and I do have guilty pleasure playing Switch, my Nintendo Switch, when I have some free time. So very brief, but just a little bit about me. Now you know a little bit about me, and I want to learn a little bit more about you. So I put it here, I bolded it for you. Your personal introductions are due Saturday today by 11:59 p.m. And then you have until tomorrow night to respond to 2 of your classmates. Now what I did here, you don't have to answer all these, but I wrote things to consider. Because if you're like, well, geez, I've never done this before, what do I do? Well, I have these little prompts here that might be able to help you. Hopefully you'll see someone's post and go, wow, I really relate to that. Or, wow, I've never heard of that. That is so cool. And that will bring you to naturally want to respond. But if you need a little bit of help, I have prompts here for you. So think about their major of interest and how you might relate to it, or whether you just find it interesting and want to know more. Why they chose to attend Palm Beach State, how it might resonate with your own decision making. The hobbies that they have, how they may align or differ from yours. Perhaps you share similar hobbies or things theirs are interesting. Oh no, I have a typo. So an example I want to give you is I had a student last semester who's really into animation and very involved in creating their own animated films. And student asked me if they could show some of their work in my class, and I was like, absolutely, that is the coolest thing ever. So I showed some of the students' work, and there were several other students who were very interested in the same type of interest. And so then they connected, and they actually ended up meeting and going over the software that they use and things like that. But it was very, very interesting. So think about how you can connect with one another and build your own network and cohort here. Okay, so when you're ready to reply, you literally just hit reply. Oop, and you can type. You can type it in, type. Or if you want to put it in Microsoft Word first and copy and paste it over, you can do that too. I know some students will do that to like make sure there's no spelling errors or anything. You can upload as a Word document, not requirement. There's no format requirement. It's just a little bit about you. When you type, I wrote my introduction, you're going to hit post reply. And then it'll take you to the discussion board and you'll be able to see everybody's replies. So let me click on the discussion itself. And we see some people have already started. Okay. So make sure you take the time to do that, get to know one another. I'm excited to continue to read them. I'm so happy to have you in this class. I think it's going to be, I will leave this up for you. I think this is going to be a great semester. Again, if you're feeling at all overwhelmed, if you're feeling at all nervous about being in a remote class, and you want to talk to me, I can be available to set up a Zoom at your convenience. I will do my best to be there for you. Do not feel overwhelmed. Do not feel that you can't talk to me, because you can. I will walk you through whatever you need to. If you need help setting up your MindTap, I can do that too. We can schedule a Zoom meeting. You just let me know whatever your needs are, and I will do my best to accommodate you and support you. Okay, you're not in this alone. Just because it is a remote class doesn't mean that I'm not here. I just want that to be very clear. All right, so I will be seeing you through announcements throughout the week, and then I'll be releasing the next video next Saturday where we talk about the introduction and first chapter of the textbook. So take care, everyone.